What's going on, everybody? This is Afro Think Tank. Today I want to talk about the African heart. The African heart. Man, that thing really gets us in trouble, doesn't it? Now, the reason I want to talk about it is because I made a video a couple days ago about how it is that we support everybody else, right? But even though we support everybody else, they give us their ass to kiss, right? And it doesn't even make sense to us, right? And it hurts our feelings, right? And it gets us frustrated, right? So that's why, over the last couple years, we've been kind of like backing up. I'm like, you know what? You Latinos, guess what? You want to side with that group, and now that group is doing things that you don't like. Don't come asking us for help, right? We've been saying this to every group who's been marginalized, who we've been fighting for, speaking up for as a group of people for decades. Even though they, as a group, as in large number, don't really do that for us. They don't come knocking on our door until they want something, right? And they be begging us to help and support, and they want to unify when something affects them. But when things are affecting us systematically, they tell us that we're just complaining, that we need to just shut up and dribble, that we need to just capitulate to an American society and stop whining about all these things, right? That's what they tell us to do when we're like, hey, are y'all gonna be on our side or what, right? But like I always say, there's just this natural thing that us black people do, right? Now, honestly, we can't help ourselves. We just can't help ourselves but to support people who are being objectified, people who are being harmed, people who are being hurt by the same oppressor that's literally doing this to all of us. Because the black person's eyes have been woke for a very long time, especially African Americans. We was telling Africans about white people in America. The black British, they was telling Africans about the white people in England, in Europe, and all around Europe. But nobody was listening to us. They thought that we were just complaining and we don't appreciate Western culture, and we don't appreciate all the things that we have and advantages that we have in these areas. And the thing they didn't consider is, why is it that all these advantages and all these things exist in these places that they say that they want to come so bad? They don't stop to think that the reason why that these Western places have all these things is because they made us work for free for hundreds of years so that they don't have to pay anything, and they build all these great things and create all these institutions and create this big cushion of money to buy and purchase all these things that they have, that now all these people want to come to America to enjoy. They also don't take in consideration that the reason that they're able to come to this country, right, is because us African Americans and African Caribbeans who came to America in the early 1900s, who also fought with us, because when they came here, they realized they was black. Now, we've been telling you guys y'all was black for the longest time. Now Africans are realizing what actually we mean by black. Meaning, yeah, you're a Nigerian, you're Ethiopian, yeah, in your country. And we understand that in your country, you don't have to think about being black, which is great. But when you leave, you got to think about being black, because that's what you are to everybody, right? But I'm not really trying to talk about the African people. I'm just talking about everybody in general, right? African people, we just have it as natural for us to want to fight against and talk about and protest, especially West Africans. West Africans are known for how loud we are. That's why African Americans are so goddamn loud. That's why Dominicans, even though a lot of them Dominicans they want to pretend like they're not black, but they are. That's why they so goddamn loud. That's why Haitians are so goddamn loud. That's why Caribbeans are so goddamn loud. You know why? Because Nigerians are so goddamn loud, and Ghanaians are so goddamn loud. And those are our people. That's why we're all so loud, because it's in us to have this big, loud voice, right? It's in us to have this big, loud voice, right? To speak with authority, right? In unison, right? That's what we do, especially when we see people doing what they're not supposed to do, right? And since we have all the influence, West Africans have all the influence. We don't control our influence totally, but we have all the influence, i.e. Nigerians and African Americans. Same group of people, got the same issues, because everybody has issues with us because of how much we stick out and stand out, right? Even in other African countries got issues with Nigerians. And the same issues they got with Nigerians is the same issue they have with African Americans. The same issues African Americans have with Nigerians are the same issues African Americans have with other African Americans. Because we the same people, right? But what I really want to focus on is the other groups that are not black, right? The other groups that are not black that always asking for our help, right? And when they're going through shit, and black people, because of our heart, we can't help but to support, but to speak out, but to tell the truth to the world, because white people are afraid of the black voice, period. I don't care what kind of white it is, Jewish white, Anglo-Saxon, European white, American white, Latino white, any type of white. They know, white people know, Europeans know that the thing they're most afraid of is black people opening our mouths, because when we open our mouths, people listen, especially when we do it as a group. And we are the biggest group on the planet that's gonna open our mouths. Chinese people don't open their mouths. Their culture is not a culture that does that. They don't do that. Indian people don't open their mouths. Their culture is not they don't have a culture that really does that. That's not part of their culture to fight and rage against the machine, right? To use their energy to fight injustice, even though they have done it in their own countries. But when it comes to globally, they don't do it. That's not part of them. But when it comes to Africans, we're going to open our mouths. We're going to say something, and we'll say it in your face, right? So this Palestinian thing, right? We know Arabs treat us like shit. We know Arabs treat us like shit. And I'm not even mad at the black people that don't want to have shit to do with that Palestinian thing, right? Me, myself, I'm kind of like mixed, because on one hand, I know those Arabs look at us a certain way. And the thing is, I know it's not all Arabs. It's usually the establishment, and the ignorance of the masses is because it's what they're taught by the establishment, right? If you go to a lot of these places, you'll meet very good people, just like you'll meet pieces of shit people, right? It'll be like a mixed bag, right? And it's because of their lack of education. It's really not their fault, right? It's not their fault, right? But you won't see that in Africa. You go to Africa, everybody is accepted. That's part of our nature. We love humans. We love our children around the world, despite how they treat us, right? But this is what I'm hoping, because I've been arguing with some of my, one of my subscribers, because they're like, man, I don't even know why you're talking about this shit. Because even though I told myself I wasn't gonna talk about it, I can't help it. It's in my heart, because I see what them white people are doing, right? And now we get age of information. Age of information, they can no longer hide the shit that they're doing. That's the only reason they got away with it in the first place, because the masses never knew it was happening. 100 years ago, me being in Maryland, I wouldn't have known what was going on in North Carolina. How long would it have took me to find out if there was a massacre in North Carolina? How long would it take me to find that out? And then when I did find out, who did I get the information from? What newspaper, owned by who, right? And then when it was written, what perspective would I got it from, right? I would have had no choice but to believe what I read off that newspaper, right? And what happened. That I would have to believe that. That was my basis of foundation. But now, age of information, I have access to information from every perspective, from people on the ground, from people that don't have an agenda to tell me something to get me to think a certain way. So now information is free flowing, because everybody has a cell phone, everybody can record it. Now you can't tell me that I don't see what I don't see. I'm looking at it. I can see it. You can't tell me that I can't see that, right? You can't tell me I didn't hear that. Like, so now politicians in their houses and chambers, people don't pay attention to boring ass politics, but now people are paying attention to boring ass politics because they can watch it on the phone. So when you hear a white European openly say that black people and brown people ain't shit, and that brown people should be bombed and killed, and that when you see white people spitting and disrespecting black people on camp, we literally see it. You can't tell me I don't see it. So that's why you can't force me to support a group of people who I know don't like me, because I can prove to you they don't like me, right? But I'm hoping that all these other groups, right? Now that we got the age of information, I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt, because as a black person, we just can't help it. It's within our nature to care about everybody. We even care about white people who do shit. We care about them too. We don't like to admit it, but we do. We wish they would just chill the fuck out and just come to the cookout and have a good time and stop tripping and stop doing that weird shit. To be honest, we just want to live and let live. That's our nature. We want to love we want it to be a party. We want to have a good time. That's all we want to do, right? We want to thrive, and we want our families to be happy. We want your families to be happy. We want everybody's families to be happy and thriving. That's what we really want. We don't want to dominate over anybody. We want everybody to be okay. That's the nature of a black person. That's the nature of an African. And the thing is, Europeans and Asians take advantage of that. And Arabs take advantage of that because they know that's how we are naturally, right? Even though it seems like they're not like that naturally. Not all of them. Not as a culture. Not as a group of people. Not as a race, as an ethnicity, as anything, right? It's not inherently in them, right? We know what Europeans do inherently. We know what their history says that they do inherently. What they do naturally. What comes out of them. What's in their heart. We know, right? And right now we seeing them fighting their nature, right? And we fight our nature when we try to pretend like we don't see injustice. We can't help it. I can't help it, right? But this is what I'm hoping. I'm hoping all these Arabs and these Asians at some point in the future take in consideration that when the chips were down, right? When everybody was ignoring them, when them Europeans was ignoring them, when CNN and MSNBC and Fox and all these news networks to pretend like they're against each other, to pit us against each other, seem to be on one accord when it comes to over there because they all got the same agenda, right? How they, how they shutting the mouths of Muslim journalists who can't speak on the situation. I hope that one day them Arabs take a look at this situation, and despite how they've historically treated us in the past, how we have been the #1 supporters and vocal supporters of their plight. I hope they see it. Them Latinos too. We do the same shit for them. I hope one day that they see that shit. That when the chips are down, even though we was talking about, man, y'all on your own, we can't help it, but every now and then we just blurp out something in support. We just can't help it. I hope one day all these people see it and then recognize it and reciprocate it one day. Because one day, mark my words, one day Africa, when it rises to the level of which it needs to rise, we're gonna be on top. African people are on the way to be on top. We have everything we need to be on top. We got the education, we got the money, we got the land, we got the population. We have it all. Y'all know what we have. And one day we're gonna be sitting on a certain pedestal. And then the rest of you guys are gonna have to come to us to do business. You're gonna have to come to our countries to seek opportunity. The same way people come to America, you're gonna be coming to our countries in Africa, our continent, to seek opportunity. And you're gonna hope that at that point, after everything's said and done, that we reciprocate you, right? That we welcome you the way we welcome you now, that we welcome you then the way we welcome you now. Because as the African people wake up and their minds and our minds as African Americans start to come together and to the same understanding on what it is that's going on, as we all wake up, our minds wake up to our plight and our situation, and we're all going to be on one accord, so to speak. When that does happen, we may feel a little different about all those people that disrespected us while we were fighting on behalf of them, while we were speaking truth to power, risking our jobs, risking our ability to function in society because we felt like we had to open our mouths to say something on your behalf because your groups may be too small to do anything about it. Despite the way the Arabs speak, their group is too small. They're too small of a population, right? They're too small of a population, and their resources they have within the areas that they live in is too scarce for them to think that they're gonna have enough power ultimately to do anything against those Europeans who've been subjugating them for the last, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 years, right? There's only one group on this planet that's big enough, that has the resources enough, have the intelligence and the strength and the capability and the power, once we put our minds to it, to fight back against the things that ruin their societies. Only we got it. So I think we deserve a little bit more respect, a little bit more understanding, a little bit more empathy, of our plight. The same way we give that energy to your plight. That's all I'm saying. So Arabs, Asians, Indians, Latinos, all you other marginalized groups, I hope one day you show us the amount of care that we show you, because we can't help it. And we know y'all take advantage of us because y'all come calling when y'all need help. But once y'all get y'all help, y'all act like y'all don't know us, right? All right? So that's all I really wanted to say. It's just the African heart. We can't help it. But us African people, we need to prioritize ourselves because we prioritize everybody else. Now, you can do two things at once. You can speak truth to power for another group of people, and you can continue to speak truth to power to your group of people and prioritize your people over other people. You can do that. You can do two things at once. I know a lot of people on the internet don't think you can do two things at once, but you actually can do two things at once. You can do 2, 3, 4, 5 things at once if you're really good at it. All right. So anyway, tell me what you guys think in the comment section, because this is just a thing, man. As black people, you know, we just can't help it. Some of us like, man, fuck y'all, and the other half is like, man, fight the power. You know what I'm saying? We just can't help it. But anyway, tell me what you guys think in the comment section. This is Afro Think Tank. Learn some, teach them. I'm out.
Don't be this person, guys. A lawyer you can trust says all blacks talking about free Palestine like they actually F with blacks. It's almost hilarious. Yeah. This video is about the interconnectedness of black and Palestinian struggles that's well dated and historical, you know. We know the solidarity between Palestinians and black folks can be traced all the way back to Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, and the Black Panthers, all the way through George Floyd and the BLM movement. And also, contrary to popular belief, black support for Palestine has long existed. Key historical figures such as Malcolm X, James Baldwin, Amari Baraka, and various black organizations, including SNCC, which stands for the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, and the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense, supported Palestine. Their position and work on Palestine was fundamental. As a matter of fact, speaking of Black Panther Party, Huey P. Newton got a book that he wrote that changed my life when I was 19. You see what I'm saying? He said that we must think globally and act locally. You feel me? And when it comes to this old Palestinian struggle, we can recognize that quote right there is one that illustrates the solidarity so beautifully. Here's a picture of Huey P. Newton standing outside of a Palestinian refugee camp in Lebanon in 1980. Here's an article from 2015 from Dr. Mark Lamont Hill about reimagining transnational solidarity through difference from Ferguson all the way to Palestine. Here is another picture of Palestinians standing in solidarity and praying, you feel me, with a picture of two individuals that's been slain by settler colonial violence, one being Palestinian and one being black. But that's not it though. Through his advocacy, Malcolm X linked black internationalism with the Palestinian cause, and this created a legacy of solidarity that created world-influenced black Palestinian revolutionaries to come. For the people in the back, a lot of the military funding and tools that's used to police both Palestinians and black folks come from the same entity, the American government. Lastly, it was very telling in this tweet that Palestine is capital, but the B in blacks is lowercase. I don't like that right there at all.